Okay, assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. This video, guys, I'm going to explain to you how to create a new project as a web application MVC using .NET Core 5.0, which is recently last month released by Microsoft. So the 5.0 is the united version of the .NET Core together with the .NET framework, which combines the .NET Framework 4.7 and the .NET Core 3.1 together. So in future, Microsoft is going to support only the .NET Core. So we'll start from 5.0 and onward. Okay. Here, actually, I'm going to show you how to create a master detail scenario, which is very common scenario that that's needed in every system, small or big. So a master detail scenario, it could be like in orders, for example, in orders or bills or invoices or whatever. We have a header for the order or for the invoice, and also we have items inside the invoice and also inside the order, and maybe inside the shopping cart or whatever. So here we have a relation of one-to-many between two tables, which is called master detail. So for that, I'm going to explain to you how to create the ASP.NET Core web application here using the MVC5. So let us call this master details like that. And here we add example. Okay. Let us change this to drive C, because drive C is SSD. I want it to be faster. So here, okay, create. Okay, now we have to select the core framework. Okay, 5.0, and here we have to select MVC. Then we click the identity. Here we select individual user accounts to create, let the wizard create everything for us, like connection string to the SQL server, and also the import of the needed packages and libraries, and also to create for us the application DB context and everything we need. Okay. One more thing, we have to select this enable Razor runtime compilation. This will allow us modify our HTML files while we are compiling, and we can see the results after refreshing the page without recompiling the source code. Okay, so it will make our life easier. Okay, this may take about 20 seconds or 30 seconds, depends on the speed of your computer. Okay, here we are. It's ready now. Okay, the structure of the MVC web application is exactly similar to the previous version of the 3.1. So as you can see here, we have the packages, all needed packages like entity framework and entity framework tools, entity framework SQL server, runtime compilation for the Razor, and also identity UI, identity entity framework, and this one the diagnostics for entity framework. Also here we have the area. It includes the identity pages, only this page by default. So what we need to do is later, if we want to add the interfaces or the pages of the identity or account control, we have to insert scaffolding item, and we can select whatever we need. This I will cover it actually in different video. I already explained before, but I may need to create a new video for this, especially for the .NET 5.0. Okay. One more thing here. The version that we use actually is 5.0.2, which is the latest. Actually, it's this month. Okay. Here, as you can see, we have the data, we have the application DB context already created for us, and also we have the application setting. So the application setting here, what we need to do is to change that server name. So our server name is like this. Before this, it was a local database which is going to be saved as a database file inside our project, and I don't prefer this. I need to make it on the server. So the name of the database is going to be modified to be master details maybe DB. Okay, the other thing I leave it as it is. Okay, we close that. Then in the program startup, we don't want to touch anything for now. What we need to do is to establish the scenario, or to start the scenario of country and region. Okay, so the superclass actually is the region class. So the name of the class must be always singular. To make it clear for ourselves, it must be singular. So the first ID, or the first property in the region class is prop integer ID, enter, another enter, prop. This one is string, then region name. So I don't prefer to repeat the class name inside the property name. So that's why it's very clear when we write region.name, it will be region name. So no need to repeat the class name inside the property name here. It will be like a kind of repetition. Okay, what we need more than that, we need to use the data annotations to make this field required. Actually, this field is under the namespace of data annotations, which is not in our use list here. So what we need to do, it's in different namespace, so we have to use the namespace. So we press Control and dot. It will show us using system component model data annotations. So it's automatically written for us here. No need to write it manually. If you want to write it manually, it's up to you, but it can make it faster. I mean, using this kind of shortcuts, it can increase your productivity. Okay, so the other thing which is very important also, here we have to limit the size of the string. Otherwise, if we don't use this annotation, so now we make this 50, so this field will be created in the database as nvarchar 50, size of 50. Otherwise, if we don't mention this, then the system, or the .NET framework, actually the entity framework actually is going to create the name as nvarchar with the maximum size, which can carry many gigabytes of strings. Okay, that will hinder the performance of your SQL server, and it could bring down your system one day after you have many data, or your database become very huge. Okay, so this is that's all about the region class. The other thing here, we need to add a new class called country. As I said, always class name is singular. So country here. What we need to do actually now is to create prop integer ID, and then prop string name. Then what else we have? Prop another string here, and short name. And also what we need to have is to have another property called prop. This one is string. We call it full name of the country. So in this case, what we need to do actually is to, like that, then we open only, read only getter. So here we need to return what we want to return, this dot name plus like that. Okay, then plus and another like this brace. And before this, here what we have to insert, we have to insert this short name. Okay, so the full name of this country is going to be like country, or maybe we take an example. We take example of Malaysia. So like that, my. Okay, if we need to make a space here, then we have to put a space here. Okay, this one actually is not needed to be mapped, is not going to be created in the database. So if we want to implicitly declare that, so we can say not mapped like that. Then this one control dot, and we use the schema here because the schema is needed also when we create the foreign key. This one actually last time is needed in the previous versions of the entity framework, but fortunately in the framework 5.0 we no need to put it anymore. Okay, so we can remove it, and we go ahead and create our relationship between the country and region. So here we need to have prop integer, then we can say region ID, and after that we have to create the field of the relation. So the field of the relation is a type of region, and we want to call it region also. So every country should be related or belongs to a certain region. Okay, okay, that's all about this. What we need to do here is to use data annotation to create foreign key like that. Then what we need to do is to copy this field of the relation here. Then to make this relation enforced, we have to make it required. We have to make this field required. Okay, I don't know why it's okay, this one looks not in use, so maybe we press Control and dot, and here we are, it's ready. So as I said, for integer everything is okay. Now this is the kind of the relation between the many to one relation. So the country is many side and the region is one side. Okay, for the string, this one actually is not going to be created in the database. For the string, what we need to do, we have to use data annotation for string length, and we have to mention the, oh, this one have to be like 3 letters only. Then let us copy that. What we need to do is here we have to put this one as 50 characters. I think it's more than enough for the country name. Okay, now everything is ready. For the ID, actually we don't need to mention the key annotation here because it's by default. If you use ID, then the entity framework will make it primary key automatically. Okay, so here we are, we already done. I want to show you visually how this thing is going to be created. So for that reason, we want to use something called class designer or class diagram, which is also coming as a tool for the Visual Studio. So you can go to the extensions, from manage extensions, you can search on class diagram here under the online, then you select it and download. But unfortunately, for the MVC projects, we cannot add that class diagram if we search about class diagram, it's not compatible. It's not compatible with the project. So what we need to do actually is to go to the solution, and we need to add a new project, and that project we make it type of library. Then you shouldn't select .NET framework for that, and also it shouldn't be a standard. Otherwise, you will have problems with the class diagram also. So what you need to do is to select class library that's compatible with the version of your MVC project. So that one is 5.1. If, for example, you take standard, so this one is requiring the .NET standard package, which is version 2 point something. So in this case, when you deploy your application, it will require two frameworks to be available and installed on the server. Okay, that's why try to always pick the things that's compatible with each other. Okay, so here what we call this project is data access layer. It will be under the same folder of the solution. I'm not going to change the path. So here we have this class created by default. We deleted class 1. I don't want it. And what I need actually is to copy this folder by dragging and dropping it here on this project. So what we need to do is to delete that file and to delete this country from here and region from here. Okay, that's all. So now our classes are still under the models folder under the master details, even though they are shifted in other project. So that's not going to be an issue. Okay, so why I do this? Because what I need to do is to create a class diagram here. So this is a class diagram. So how you can find it? You have to select Visual C# items, and then have to be under general here. Okay, so you select it. You can name that as maybe data access layer class diagram. Okay, so this is the file. Let us open that file. Then it will be black like that. So you have to click here, there, and there many times to enable that thing. So it will not be working until you can see that text. Actually, this is a small bug, but we have to deal with it. So after that, we have to bring the region here and the country after that. Then we open that, collapse the small collapse. Then we arrange the things here. And as we can see here, we have this region field, which is the field of the relation. Okay, if we right click here, we can see show as association and also show as collection association. So if we click this, it's not going to work, because this one actually is not an association, collection association. This one is only an association between the country and the region. Okay, so this is the field of the relation. The field of the relation shifted from here and displayed here. If we click again and on the link, then we can return it as property. So you can see it comes back here to the class. So again, I want to make it there. It's already shifted there. Okay, let us close. This one actually is not affecting anything. It's only to display your things visually. It can give you a complete view for your system design or for your class design. So you can follow easily. You can detect your mistakes, especially if the system is huge. Okay, so this is a good idea actually to make it. What we need to do now is to, after we created the classes and we created the relations, we have to go to the, what they call it, to the package manager console, and we have to add migration. Okay, we add migration and we say create db region country. Oops, db region country. Okay, so oops, what happened here? Add migration, yes, because we are in the wrong project here, and this project doesn't have a connection string, doesn't have anything. It even doesn't use anything related to the what they call it, entity framework. So what we need to do actually, we need to import that project here, the data access layer, actually, because this one is a library, project of library. So this one, this project output will be a DLL file. So what we need after we create this DLL, we need to insert it here or import it in the other application. So in the other project, so what we need to do is to go here to the dependencies, we go to packages, no, we go to dependencies, we add project reference, and we take the data access layer. So that means this project, the second one, is dependent on the data access layer. So the sequence of compilation is going to be data access layer first, it will be compiled, then the DLL will be created, then after that it will be passed to the master detail web application project, so that application can compile based on that DLL. Okay, so one more thing, what we need to do is to mention, right click on the web application, and we set it as a startup project. Okay, then here what we need to do is to come back again to this project, package manager console, and we still have another issue. So the term add migration is not recognized. Really? Is it wrong spelling or what? Okay. It looks like what I did. Oh, there is extra A here. Okay. Okay, add migration. You want to switch off the air conditioning. It got very cold. Okay, finish. Okay, what happened here? Succeeded. Okay, done. Okay, let us see here what was created in our migration. Actually, our migration is still empty. Do you know why still empty? Because we forget to insert the DB set inside the application DB context here. Intentionally, I make it this mistake to make it always remembered, always in your mind. Okay. So what we need to do actually to avoid or to cancel that migration that we created, remove migration. So it will be when we say remove migration without name, it will delete the last migration. So as you can see, it's already deleted. Let us close this. And what do we need? We have to go here and we have to create prop. So this one will be db set of type region, and its name region, and its name is going to be regions. Okay, then okay, this one has an error. Okay, control dot, and we have to use the master details dot model space namespace, because this class is under different namespace. Okay, another thing, we have to write prop again, and we create db set, then country, then we close, and this one is called countries. Okay, guys, one important thing. So the DB set name must be always in plural. Okay, the class name must be always singular. This one must be always in plural. So it's okay, it can be singular or plural, or you can mix them, you can make them both plural or both singular. It's up to you. It all can work, but that will be confusing. Okay, so the clearer way to make it is to use the single name for classes and the plural name for DB sets. Okay, that's all, guys, about this. Let me close that. Let me again repeat the same command at migration. Then we will see the how the migration looks like. So as you can see here, this is the table regions. So the integer is here, nullable is false, and also the string is here in varchar 50 as we mentioned, and nullable is false as well. Then here we have primary key called bk underscore regions, and it's the ID field. And also here countries table is going to be created, and also we have an integer ID, not nullable. This one has annotation as identity, start with 1, increases by 1 automatically. Then also we have a name, which is in varchar 50, nullable. This one, because we did not make it required. Okay, this is our mistake. Then this one, short name, it's in varchar 3, it's nullable also. Then the region ID, which is an integer, and not nullable because we make it required, since this one is the field of the relation. So it's the field of the foreign key relation. So as you can see here, we have a primary key field here, which is the ID, and also we have foreign key will be saved under the name if k countries regions under score region ID, which is the field of the relation. So the relation will be between the region ID and the table region on the field ID. Okay, this one actually is going to be on delete referential action dot cascade. So this one actually is very important to deal with, because by default .NET framework, the core and even the other versions, they what they call it, they use something called cascading delete by default. So that one is very important point. So please be careful, guys. If you don't know how to deal with the with that thing, actually you have to be careful. So what we need to do is to go here to the and to the application DB context, and we have to write this thing. We have to override the on model creating event, and inside it we have to disable the cascading delete. So what we need here, we have to fix this because this one is a link command. So what we need, we click control dot, then we have to use the system link, so everything will be fine. What we need to do actually is to remove that migration. Again, I don't want to create many migrations in the system and save them while we are still doing the same thing, but in wrong way. Okay, so here you are. You can see here on deletion referential restrict. Okay, so it's last time it was cascaded, now it become restrict. So if any record is used in other table, it's not going to be deleted until we delete the dependent records from other tables, which is the safest way. And as I know, and based on my experience, we never delete data. Even if you want to delete data, just put a flag. So we can insert a field, we call it deleted. Then if somebody wants to delete a record, we just make it true. That's all. And keep the data inside our database. Never delete the data. Okay? So that's all here. about the migration, what we need to do actually now is to update our database. Okay, to update our database. Actually, I cannot show you my database because my management studio making some update and it still needs a lot of time. I don't know why. I feel like it's hanged, but I'm not going to interrupt it. I will keep it aside until it finish update, and I will see if it still have a problem. Then maybe I have to reinstall it. Okay, so what I want to do actually, I'm to open to create the database connection here. So I select through the server tab here, click new database, then select Microsoft SQL Server. Then after that, you see the wizard here. You can write localhost slash SQL Express. Then here you have to select your database. So our database is called Master Details DB. Here we are. So this is our database created here, connected here, sorry. Then as you can see here, we have the two tables created. So this table actually is a foreign key to that table. So the relation is already created. Unfortunately, we cannot show it here. I don't know whether we can see the properties here or not. Countries, it can show nothing. So can we see the properties of this? Okay, this one actually region ID, integer is identity, doesn't show anything. Okay, anyway, the relation is 100,000% is created. The one-to-many relation is 1,000% created. One more thing that I want to share with you actually. Here, in this kind of relations, normally when sometimes we need to display the region and we need to bring all needed countries or all belongs countries that belongs to that region. So what we need to do is to create a relation here inside the region, relation of one to many. Okay, so one record of the region will have a list of countries that belongs to that region. Okay, how to make that is to go here and to create another property. So that property actually is going to be inverse property. So that property actually is going to be list of countries. Okay, list of countries. Okay, that list of country. This field actually need to have a data annotation called inverse property, and here we have to mention that property. This one shows an error, control dot, then we have to use the schema. And here, what we have to put here? What we have to put here is the other field, actually, the other field in the country table. Actually, we put the inverse relation here, right? Inverse property. So this inverse property is built based on the relation of this, right? Based on these fields of the relation. So what they need is the field of the relation here, which is called region. We need to copy it. We need to put it here. Okay? So this is easy because many people will be confused. Here is it kind of referring to the same class, but actually it's referring to the field of the relation of the remote file of the relation. Okay? So here, this one actually, when we have only one relation between that two tables, this one is optional. You can delete it. It will give the same thing, the same result. Actually, it's not going to be reflected in the database. So in the database, nothing will be created. but this one actually is used when we have more than one relation between the same two tables. So in that case, the entity framework needs some information to understand what this list property belongs to what relation. Okay, so please keep it in mind. Don't forget it, especially if you have more than one relation between the same two tables. Okay, so here if let us create a test migration here, test only, because this one actually is going to be empty, nothing to be inserted to the database actually. As you can see, it's empty. So that's why I just want to prove to you that this kind of inverse property is not going to create anything in the database. Okay, let us now, after we created our models, let us close that DAL. Sorry, before we close that DAL, let us go here and see. Now here is a property, right? This property actually we forget to change its name, still my property. So this one actually is called countries, right? Countries under that region. Okay. So after we save here, we can see here it becomes countries. Okay. So this one actually is an inverse relation. So okay, if we right click, we can select show as a collection association. It will add another arrow in the opposite direction. So this arrow will have two hits here. As you can see, the property of countries is already removed from here. It's displayed here. Okay, this can help you understand your system in a good way, and it gives you visual view to the entire system together. So the class diagram is very good tool, very useful tool. My advice is to use it in every system before you start. Okay, let us close that because we don't have anything to do with that entity framework. Okay, what I need to do is to remove this last migration because this one adds nothing. Okay, it looks inserted to the database. Whatever, it's not going to affect our system. Okay, what we need to do actually is to create here our controllers. So what we need is right click on the system, new item. Why? Yes, sorry, here. Right click on controllers, then add controller. Okay, we select controller with views using entity framework, add, and we can select here our model class. So the first thing we have to select the region, then we have to select the application DB context. So keep all of the things ticked as by default. And we have to mention the layout, shared layout here to keep all forms and views using the same style and the same layout. Okay, so here we are, close. It would take a while. Okay, then let us go back here and add another controller for the country. So this is country. Okay, other things no need to change. It will be saved. Okay, done. Here, what we have, we can see the countries controller and also the regions controller. Okay, also the views are inserted here, as you can see, countries and regions. So what we need to do now is to run the system. Okay. Okay, here. Okay, we forgot to put a link to the what they call it, to the menu. So what we need to do, we go to the views, we go to the shared folder, layout, and go here. We want to get rid of that privacy. So we want to make a link for the regions. We call it regions list, for example. Then this one we call it country list. And here what we need to do is make this index. That one, the action is index to refer to the index view, and also this one will be regions, the name of the regions controller, and here is the countries, the name of the countries controller without the word controller. Okay, that's all about this. Save. We open that, refresh. No need to recompile because already we enabled the Razor runtime compilation. Okay, now it's ready. As you can see here, we have region list and country list. Click on region list. We can see here what they call it, the view. So we create here, for example, we create Asia. Since I'm in Asia, I will start with Asia. So maybe I create Africa, my origin. Then maybe we create, for example, Europe, like that. Create. That's all. Then here we can see the details of the regions. We can edit whatever we insert here. It can be saved. Okay, we can edit that, delete the extra unnecessary text. Also, if let's say we create whatever here, then it shows shown here. We can delete it easily. Click delete. That's all for that. So let us see the countries. Okay, countries are ready. Okay, let us create Malaysia. Short name is my, and the region is Asia. We did nothing actually. All have been done by the scaffolding. So we create that. Maybe we create another region here. We call it Libya, and ly under Africa, create. Okay, that's all. Everything is great. So you can see editing, deleting, and everything is ready. Okay, now let us go back to the system here and remind ourselves of the structure. So here we have the region class has an ID and name, and also it has a list of countries here. Okay, so how we are going to make use of this list of countries? Okay, let us stop the compilation and let us go to the what they call it. Let me close this, close region, close country, and let us go to the region in index here. And inside the region index, what we want to do, we don't want actually to do anything. So what we need is to delete that index. We keep the button here. Maybe we need to modify this as a class if we want it to become like a button then btn dash primary. So it will be a blue button. And also here we will see the name and the information in front of it. And after that, we will have these three links. Later, we modify them. Here, we don't need to show anything. So what we need to do is in the details of the country, sorry, of the region, what we need to do is to show the list of countries inside that certain region. Okay, so in that case, here what we need to do is to write list of countries. Then here we can mention in. Then let us see how to bring the region name. So it would be model dot, because the model passed to this view is a region, so we can say model name. Okay. Then after that, what we need to do is to show that name of the region. Actually, this one is not needed because it will look ugly. I will leave it now, but later I show you how it will look like, then why we need to delete it. Okay, after that information, which is the header or the master details, or the master information, then we need to include also the details of this region. So the details of this region, actually, I'm going to borrow from other view here under the countries index, because the index is list of countries right here. So let us copy the entire table here, the entire table. Okay, what do we left here? We lifted the create button. Let us also take it, the create button and the table. Let us put it here inside this div. Okay, here we are. We don't do anything. So what we need to do actually is to modify a little bit of this thing. Okay, the first thing is, okay, let us see where is the button, create a new. This button actually is going to be new country under the same region. So new country, like that. Then let us make this class btn, then btn dot primary. Okay, then after that, what we need to do is to mention ASB controller, because this one actually is going to, now we are in the details view under the regions. And we need to, when we click on new country, we need to go to another controller, which is the countries controller. So here we have to mention countries. Then after that, we have to mention the action. Actually, this action is not create. We need to create another action called insert, because this action is going to get another parameter. It's going to get a parameter here to receive the region ID, root dash ID equal, what they call it, at model dot ID. Okay, so we pass this region ID to the insert function inside the countries controller when we press this button. Okay, one more thing. The model here actually is region, right? So that region doesn't have short name, doesn't have a region field. So what we need to do actually is to mention here to the countries, because this one actually is to display names only, to display the label. So what we need to do is to select the first item here, any item in the row, it will have the same name. Let us copy this and we save it here. Okay, so everything is nice. What we need to do is to show that with region dot. No, this one actually is not needed, because here we have the details of, for example, Asia. So inside Asia we have list of countries, right? So why we need to repeat the name of the region here? This one actually is not desired. Okay. That one also. Oops. Instead of that, let us make use of the full name that property we created early. Okay. So here. What we have to do, actually, this one is also a region. So what we need to do is to fetch the items inside the countries list that comes from the model. Okay, so no need to modify anything other than that. So everything is nice. Here, what we need to do is to save that. Okay, before this, actually, because the entity framework by default is enabling the what they call it lazy loading. So in the region countries, in the region controller, the index class here is not including the countries. So what we need to do is to include like that. We have to open lambda, then we put like this r dot countries like that. So this will be fetched from the database. So everything is going to be working in a proper way. Okay. What else? What else? Okay. This is only to fetch the data from the database for the index view. Let us finish view by view and test. Okay, region list. Then here inside the regions, as you can see, if we click details, it comes to here, and oh, we forgot to do something. Actually, we make it in the index, and this is not needed for the index, it's needed for the details. I mistakenly make it. Okay, here instead of region only, we need to include the countries for that view. Okay, run. Okay, regions list, details. It shows us Malaysia here. If we go back, details of Africa, it shows us Libya. So everything is nice as we intended. What we need to do actually is to modify a little bit things here while we are showing the view. I don't know how is it. So let us go to index here. Let us remove that column here. Let us also make this class and btn primary. Then the other one is this one is success. This one is danger, to make them blue, green, and red. Okay, save this, go to details. In details also, what we need to do is to remove that, and also we make that here, and we can say this one is success, that one is danger, and here we are. Okay, let us check. Okay, let us reload the page, and as you are going to see, all buttons are changed. Okay, So details, when we click here on details, we can see also the details here, but we still have something ugly here. You see list of countries in Asia, then region name Asia. This one actually is a kind of repetition. What we need to do is to delete them from here. Okay, we go to details here. This one, list of countries, blah, blah, blah. Then what we need to do is here to delete all of this part. Okay, that's all. Save, then refresh. Okay, now, okay, maybe we need to change this two links also to buttons. Okay, one more thing actually is to make the index here clickable. Okay, this name also we want to make it clickable. So here inside the index, not that one, or this one, region index. Yes, region index. So what we need to do is to go here to this, and we need to add a tag. Then what we need to do, we take this inside, Control X, like that. Then we open here and we write ASP dash action. We call it details, because when we click on that region name, it should take us to its details. Then after that, we can mention the ASB dash route dash ID equal to what they call it, add item dot ID. Okay, so this is to pass the ID to the details view. Okay, just save, refresh here. Now all names are clickable. So let us click here, Asia, it shows Malaysia. This one, Africa, shows Libya. Okay, everything is good so far. What else? What we need to do here, when we click on the edit, and for example, we click on this button actually takes us to the insert action method inside the country's controller, carrying the what they call it, the region ID. So if let's say we open Africa, so the region ID should be 2, as you can see, passed to the country what they call it, action method of insert. Okay, then after that we need to go back to the region ID. So we need to remember where we come from. Then after that we need, after to finish the insertion, we need to go back to the same region. Okay, let us go to the countries here and countries controller. Here, let us borrow the create. We have a create get function as a create, and also post function as a create. So let us copy them, both of them here, because we need to borrow them. Oops. This one. Okay. And the other create function. Okay. So these two we need to borrow, and we need to copy and paste them here. These errors because of the name. This name actually is going to be changed to insert, and that name also need to be changed to oops, Control Z, Control C. Then this name need to be changed to insert. This one actually, because we are still compiling the website, that's why we see all of that errors. So this one is going to be insert dash region ID. Okay, so let us also pass that one is insert only, insert function. So let us see how that insert function is going to be working. Okay, so maybe what we need to do here is to write some documentation. Here the ID parameter. So maybe instead of this, we make this ID, because this one is reflecting the root of the function. So here the ID parameter is passing the region ID to the insert function from regions controller. Okay, this is only for documentation in order to remind yourself in future after you come after a long time. Okay, what we need to do here is to create an integer nullable ID parameter. Then here inside this this function, what we need to do is to create a region. Then that region we bring it from await underscore context dot regions. We bring it from database dot where then we open lambda expression. So r equals greater r dot id. Sorry, id is equal to the id parameter. Okay. Then here, what we need to do is to bring the first async. First async. Okay, semicolon. Then here is the error. The error, because this one is a wait function called async, and this one need to be async, need to be changed. Task of like that. Task of action result. So this is going to be working fine. Okay, what we need to do now, after we bring the intended or the needed region ID from the database, we need to check now. We need to check its ID. So we need to check the ID is not null. This is, by the way, is actually is not null, is introduced in C#9, which comes under the Visual Studio 16.8 something, 16.8 or 16.7 or whatever, the latest version. Okay, here, sorry, we have to say and we have to make sure that the region that we bring from the database.id is equal to the ID that comes from the parameter. Okay, then here what we need to do is to open the things here, and we take that two lines, Control X, we put them here. Okay, so what's wrong with that? Region ID, this one is double equal. Okay, everything looks nice now. And now here, what we need to do is to create country. We call it country small, and we can say new countries, new country like that, semicolon. I don't want to use the curly braces here because that one is confusing for some people. That's why I want to make it as easy as that for you to understand it. So country dot region ID is equal to the ID parameter. Okay, so this one has an error. Why? Because this one ID is nullable integer and this one is an integer. So what we need to do is to make casting. So we cast it to integer. So we convert it from integer, what they call it, nullable integer to normal integer. This error actually is to tell you that not all code paths return value. So what you need to do here is to write another return, and you can say not found. So if the thing is wrong, we cannot find in the database, so we have to say not found. Okay. What else do we need? This one actually we don't need, because the create country view, or the insert view for creating country under a certain region actually is not going to let the user select the region, because the region ID is already passed as a parameter. So what we need to do here is to pass the country here that we created. Okay, this country that we created will be passed here after we assign the region ID to it. Okay, that's all about that. Then we go here to the other insert function, and this one is post function. So what we need to do is just keep the header as it is, don't change anything. And here we need to check whether it's valid or not. So if not valid, then we return the same country that comes as a parameter from here. We return it back to the insert view to let the user see in case there is some errors. Okay, what we need to do here is to add the country to the context. Then after that, we call the save function, save changes function. Then we redirect to the details of the regions. Instead of this, we need to change details. Then after that, we can say regions. This is the controller name. So if you can see here the hint, the first value is for action, the second value is for controller name. Then after that, what we have to do, we have to pass the parameter for the region that we work for now. Okay, so the ID parameter will be equal to country dot region ID. Okay, so that's all about that. All looks good. So what we need to do, we get rid of this, and everything looks nice. Okay. Let us run and see the result. Okay. Okay, region list. Okay, this is the region list. Let us click detail for Asia. And as you can see here, we have Malaysia only. Let us create a new country. Okay, there we are. Insert was not found. The view insert was not found. Yes, we forgot to create the insert view. So how to create the insert view? Actually, we just need to right click on the function, on the action method here, and we select add view. We select razor view, add. Actually, I like to use the wizard because the wizard help us to bring all of the things, then we easily modify or we delete the parts that we don't need. So in this case, the insert actually is a create method, a create view that has a little bit difference. So what we need to do is to select the model, the country model. Then after that, the application DB context is here. Create as a partial. No, this one is not partial. Then we click add. Okay. It do scaffolding quickly. Okay. So here, when we insert, what we need to do here in the insert view, we have to modify little things actually, like I don't know why this one is like that, does not exist in the current context. Why? I don't know why. Okay. Yes, it doesn't exist because we did not pass a back view here. We don't pass what they call it, like in the create function, we pass a view data, but here we deleted it because we passed the object here. Okay, that's why what we need to do is to delete that part like this. This one model does not exist in the current context. Are we sure? What happened? So let us build and see how it works. Too successful. I don't know why that function here in the insert also is not working. I don't know why. Okay, what happened here? Insert, everything is okay, looks nice. Okay, let us see the other things here, what we need to do. This one is control dot, doesn't work. System, are you missing an assembly reference to link? Then helper here. It's not needed at all. It's not needed at all. Country, this one is country, right? I don't know what's the error. So let us complete this. Anyway, I have done that before. It's very easy actually. Okay, let us come here to the insert function. So that insert function actually is going to be reviewed. So async task, blah, 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 insert integer ID, then region, await context regions, where then r equals to r.id equals to id dot first async, that's correct. Then if id is not null and id region region id is equal to id, then after that we have to create country, new country. Then after that we assign the id from the parameter and then return view country and so on. So this function is correct. Then here we check the post function. Okay, here http post blah 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 async task action result insert bind country, then state is valid, context add country, we didn't change anything here. So redirect action, name, details, then regions, then new id equals to country region id, then after that we pass the return view. Okay, everything looks nice, but I don't know why this one is now is working, you see, crazy. Okay, we don't change anything, it works. I think it's a little bug maybe in the Visual Studio, sometimes it happens. what we need to do actually is, I don't know why we deleted that, because we need this actually. I don't know why I deleted this. Okay. Okay, that looks fine. Then after that, here instead of country, we need to write insert new new country. Okay, then what we need to do here is to okay, make sure that this one is insert, and also here the submit button is not create, so it will be insert. Okay, oh, wrong spelling. Okay, so here we are, everything is nice so far. So what do we have here is let us delete this summary of validation. I don't like it. And here we have label input for the name and also validation. And here for short name, we have label input and validation. And also for the region ID, we have this thing for the region ID. Actually, region ID is not going to be displayed at all because this one is not going to be selected. So what we need to do is under here, we have to copy, we have to borrow some code from somewhere. So what we need to do here is to make one for region ID like that. We make it hidden. Okay. So this one actually is requires to get a value for that. Otherwise, this region ID is going to be passed as null to the post function. So here, this region ID will be null. Then later, the country cannot be inserted. Okay, that's why what we need to do here is to use the value here, and we can pass add model dot region ID. Okay, then okay, let us get rid of this. Let us copy that. Easier to modify, well, because that one is also hidden, and this one will be for the ID itself. So the ID itself actually is going to take value of 0 because this one is a new country. So new country should have 0 value, otherwise it will return an error from the database. Okay, so here we are, everything's supposed to be ready. Now let us go and compile that thing. Hopefully it doesn't have errors, inshallah. And as you can see here, everything looks nice. Okay, here is Asia, new country. Maybe Singapore, and SG, then insert. It's already takes us back to the region ID. Singapore is already inserted. New country, as you can see here, new country takes us from the region to the countries, carrying with it the region ID. So here what we need to do is, for example, to insert Thailand, for example, then TH, maybe insert, and we back to the region. Okay, so here, as you can see, Asia has Asian countries. So if we go back here, Africa, for example, new country, we can say Tunis, for example, TN, insert. Okay, Tunis and Libya only. Then, for example, Egypt and EG, enter. Then here we are. So we go here, Asia is Asian country. We go here, Africa is African country. But we need to take care of the other links here. This one is edit. As you can see here, when we hover the mouse on the edit, you can go here and see below, you can see what link is that. So it's going to take us to the edit of the region. So that's fine. This one will take us to the regions itself. That means regions index. Okay, that's okay. What's about the edit? The edit, it's going to take us to the edit of the region, which is wrong. And this one actually is going to take us to the details of the region, not the details of the country. This one is delete for the region, not for the country. So what we need to do is to modify all of that stuff. So, okay, let us go. Here we are in the details under the regions. Okay, so, okay, this is regions details. So what we need to do is to come here. This one is going to take us to different controllers. So that's why we have to say ASB controller, and we have to mention here countries. Okay, then this one supposed to be, oh, sorry, this one supposed to be copied because all of them need to mention to another controller, and they have to take the item, the root ID actually. The root ID actually here of the model is the region ID, right? So what we need to do actually is to, oops, region item, no, that's fine, that's fine. So no need to change this. That's all fine. So here, save. Let us check, refresh and check. Okay, this one now points to the countries edit 2. This one countries edit 5 because Tunis is number 5. And this one edit 6 on the countries, which is for Egypt. So everything is fine. This one is under countries details, countries details, countries details, delete details, and so on. So for example, we go here, easily we can go to the thing. But unfortunately, until now, if we save here, as you can see, we are in the countries, we came back from the regions, right? When we click edit and we save, we will stay at the countries. So the path is already lost. What we need to do actually is to modify that links, okay? To modify the behavior of every function. Okay, let us take an example only. So now the insertion of countries under a region is very nice, working nicely, properly, and everything is good. What we need to do is to modify, for example, the detail function, because when we come from the regions, the region has the list of, here inside the details, the region, for example, Asia, it will have list of countries below it. Then after that, if we click details here, it should take us to countries. Then if we click on what they call it, countries details here, if we click on back to list, or we click on edit button, oh, sorry, this one is edit button. Okay, this edit button actually is going to take us to the same model edit action. Okay, so it will be the countries edit with the ID of the country, that's fine. But if we want to go back to the list that we come from, we have to go to ASB controller. Then we have to mention regions. And after that, we have to mention action. The action actually is details, the view that has a list of countries under a region. Then here we have ASB that root dot ID equals to at model dot region ID. Okay, because we need to return back to the same region that we come from. Okay, let us try this. We have to make sure that the navigation is smooth and correct. Otherwise, maybe we will see a lot of problems. Okay, region ID, because this one actually country list is not going to be there anymore. After we finish all navigation inside this model, we will delete this link because no, we cannot insert country unless we have the region, right? Because for example, if let's say we want to insert country here, which is under America, we cannot find America, right? So that's why what we need to do is to delete this, and we keep the insertion of countries under regions. Okay, so if let's say we open Asia, so here this is Malaysia. If we click details, now we are under countries detail 1. But if we click back, we go back to the regions detail. Okay, let us go to other different region. Okay, so let's say Africa region number is 2. Let us take Tunis, for example. Okay, now the countries detail 6, but if we go back, it comes back to region 2, which is Africa. So deletion details is already okay, we have no problem, but we still have to handle the edit, because when we click edit here, it will take us to the countries edit. Then when we save, it take us to the countries list. Okay, so we have to fix all of that stuff. Okay, for fixing the edit is also very simple. So let us copy that thing here. Okay, so once we finish the edit from here, from countries, what we need to do is to click save, right? So the save will give us submit. But this one is actually okay, let us see the details. Details here, back to list. Yes, details here, back to list, like that. So we have to go back to regions details, and we have to pass the action is already here. That's why we don't have it. We have to delete it. Save. Then here the submit. Where is it? The submit button actually needs to be redirected here inside the edit function. Okay, so edit, this is the function, and this is the post edit action method. Okay, so after we finish here, if everything is okay, what we need to do actually is, okay, let me make a breakpoint here to easily find the function. After we create, edit, this one, insert. Yes, we have to copy this. We have to do the same way. So instead of that, because here we need to go back to what they call it, details of regions, and we need to pass the ID of the country, the ID of the region ID saved in the country. Okay, as easy as that. Okay, let us save like that. It's very minor modification, but don't make mistakes. Try every single scenario to make sure that all navigation are as intended. Okay, here region list. Then, for example, Africa. Let us edit. So, for example, Tunis. Write whatever, save, and it comes back to Tunis with the here to the region and shows the modification. So again, edit, save, comes back here, details is here, Tunis, blah, 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 back to list. Okay, still under the same region. We still have to treat the delete. Okay, so delete here is another story. Okay, so in the delete, in the delete function, what we need to do is to keep a track of the region ID before we delete it. So this is the delete git, and this is the delete post. So what we need to do is to save, to create int region ID equals to country dot region ID. Okay, before we delete it, we need to keep track to the region ID that we came from, otherwise we will lose our path. Okay, after we finish, if everything is okay, then what we need to do is to go back to the same path we come from. Let us borrow it from here. Okay. Instead of that, we need to do this, redirect name, details region, and we pass instead of country, because country is already deleted. What we still have is the variable that we created here. Okay. Not sure whether that country can stay, but maybe this one, if we reference it, can work as well. I'm not sure. Let us later try it. So this one actually is going to be deleted. What we need to do is here just run. Okay, what is this? I run a wrong application, a wrong project, because I have many Visual Studio open here. Sorry for that. Okay, region list. Then here, if let's say we click Africa, let us insert something wrong like that. So it's already inserted under Africa. So if let's say we edit, so okay, everything is fine. We edit this. Let us make this all A's like that. This one all A's, save. So as you can see, details is the same. Back to this. Okay, working, details, edit. Then we make it all B's, save. It's already working. So edit and details are working properly. So now we still have the delete. So this delete, actually the back to list here, as you can see, it takes us to countries. So what we need to do is to modify this first. Okay, we go to the delete of countries, this one, delete. And what we need to do is to borrow that link. Okay, we borrow this. We don't have enough time to rewrite it. So instead of ASP index, ASP action equal to index, we need to pass that thing. Okay, so this is to go back to the list. Let us update. Okay, update. And okay, we hover here, we see regions detail 2. So if we go back, we still under Africa. So delete, we still need to run this. So when we click delete here, as you can see, that wrong name actually is deleted, but the problem is that we return back to countries. Okay, what happened here? Okay, let us go back here. Let us go to Africa, insert country, we make it DDD, insert, and let us click on, let us make some breakpoints here. Okay, this one is edit, this one is delete function. Okay, that delete function actually has no problem, because from here what we do is only we pass the country. Okay, so we don't have any problem. What we need to do is to breakpoint here. Yes, we forget to modify this. Okay, I catch it. Okay. So what we need to do, we borrow the same link, but we need to stop compiling, and we need to put it here like that. It details region and country.id. So this one I think should work, because even though this country is going to be deleted from database, we still have a reference to that. So what we need to do maybe is also to modify the edit function here. Where is the edit? Oh, sorry, the delete. This one. Where did we find? Where did we modify that? Is it here? Oh no. I created integer ID, right? Int region ID, right? Oops. Where I created that? I'm really confused. Okay, I totally confused. Anyway, let us stop this, run. Oh, I modified in different place. Oh, I modified in other project. That's why, yeah, I modified it, but in other project wrongly. Fortunately, I can see that. Otherwise, it will make a lot of problems for me in the other project. Okay, that looks really. Oops. Okay, I already returned my other project as it is. So let us go here to Africa, for example, and as we can see here, we have this DDD. So if we go back, it's still here in the region number 2. If we delete, we are still in the region number 2, Africa. So if we delete here, it will take us back to region number 2. And as you can see, the DDD country is already deleted. So here we're done. Everything is nice, works smoothly, navigation all correct, and everything is fine. So what we need to do now is only to go and get rid of some functions that has no use. Okay, this create function, the get create and the post create. These two functions are not going to be used, so that's why what we need to do is to delete them. Okay, that's all, guys, about it. I hope you understand the scenario very well. So I see you inshallah in the next video. Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and have a nice day.